Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Laine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film fans and film freaks of all types. I'm one of your hosts, Laine Williscroft, with my filmmaker and husband, John Williscroft.
Brian, you never sound sexier, even though you got the opening wrong.
Honey, it's me.
Oh, okay.
What'd I miss?
Film freaks and film fans of all types.
Oh, come on. Freaks of all types. It's fine.
Well, actually, you didn't get it correct.
Oh, nobody likes a well, actually. Are you drinking, sir?
Oh, yeah. I loved it. There was dead silence. I loved that we both reached for a drink, hoping the other one was going to say something. So
I thought you were maybe going to do that thing you do where you put your microphone to your throat. It's so charming.
But yeah, so hooray for Hollywood.
Oh my God, I was going to say that. Are we like totally mind melding right now?
You're totally mind melding. So yeah, let's talk about the Oscars. Now, obviously, the show is over. But before we talk about the winners and losers and the whole show, let's talk about, you know, what got nominated, what kind of got snubbed.
Whoa. You are way ahead of where we need to be.
Oh.
First of all, what number episode are we on?
294?
No.
317?
No.
316?
No.
420? Man. 69?
You're the worst.
What? 163?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. There.
And it's just you and I because we are freshly post-show, and Brian doesn't live with us because he has 4 kids.
He should live with us. That'd be awesome.
Brian's not here because he has 4 children and a wife. And
even though we have a spare room, he would sleep in a cot next to our bed.
Why are you so weird all the time? Like, is there ever like a time when you're just not the weirdest? Okay. Anyway, it's just you and I. And also, you know, as you may have inferred from your time with the show, dear listeners, Brian doesn't actually care for the Oscars.
How dare he not care about a bunch of rich people getting together to celebrate each other and talk about how they shouldn't, live rich lives even though they're millionaires.
I thought you would find this surprising. You know, Brian really plays it so close to the chest. Just kidding, bud. Love you. So, yeah, there is quite a few things that we can talk about in general with the 92nd Academy Awards this year.
What did they say? 2020 was a great year for film.
Yeah, because you said...
It wasn't at first.
Right.
And
I remember this time last year, you had been kind of disappointed.
Yeah. And it's a lot of, January is just a god-awful dumping ground for movies. And then a lot of, like, comic book movies. Back in the day, there used to be, like, one comic book movie a year, if anything. Now there's 15 a year.
Oh, yeah.
So
exhausted.
Some of them get dumped in February because there's no real competition.
Right.
And then April rolls around, and that somehow is the beginning of summer. However that works.
Yeah, right.
So where I grew up, there's still snow on the ground.
Is that when Black Widow's coming out this year in April?
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably May, because it's not like a humongous, Avengers.
I don't even really want to see it.
Shocking.
Shocking.
But, then you have your summer movies, and then there are a few things in fall, and then you get the only movies that really, not to sound like a snob asshole, but the only movies that really count in late October through the end of the year.
I'm not going to lie, you sound like a snob asshole.
Yeah, well.
Film toi.
Well, let me see if the ones that were nominated, let me see. Ford versus Ferrari, I think that came out in October. The Irishman came out in November, I think, on Netflix. So did Marriage Story. Jojo Rabbit came out in the fall. Joker actually came out earlier in the year. I think that came out in the summertime. Little Women came out in December. 1917 came out in December. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did come out earlier than that. Parasite came out in December.
And now, you saw everything, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you always
I'm not going to let our people down.
You always see so much.
I'm not going to let our people down.
You were like stressing about it too.
I was. Oh, especially like leading into our top 10 episode, I was at the movie theaters like every day, double features, catching up.
You were. I was in one of those double features. It was nice.
Yeah. What was it? We saw Jojo Rabbit and Little Women.
Yep.
What a
it was
combination.
a very strange double feature, but I enjoyed it immensely. It was us.
We almost missed the
Together.
beginning of Little Women, and I was like, "You read the book, right?" And you were like, "Yep." I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay."
yeah.
So no surprises.
No surprises.
But yeah, and obviously, just because those movies come out at the end of the year doesn't mean that they're the best films. Sometimes things get ignored, i.e., The Lighthouse.
You are obsessed with that movie. I have to see it now because you have not stopped talking about it.
It's unbelievable. Everybody should see that movie. And it's what the asshole who did Midsommar thinks he is. He is.
Wow.
He's a fraud in greatness clothing. And he should take a look from the director of The Lighthouse, who also directed The Witch, and say, like, "Oh, there's a real artist, you ass."
Interesting. Look at you. Some strong thoughts from Johnny Dubs today.
But yeah, so the nominees came out. There was no glaring snubs except one. And let's talk about Oscars so dickified.
Oscars so male, Oscars so white. I mean, I thought there were a lot of not necessarily surprises because I'm cynical enough now that I think it's
right.
It's to be expected. I mean, when the nominations first came out, I thought that it was a shame that Jennifer Lopez wasn't nominated for her performance in Hustlers. She was really good, and I think it's a shame that we see like a performance like Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, and we're like, oh, he's downtrodden and poor and skinny. It's so brave, but you see something like Jennifer Lopez where she's a woman fully in her power, and
But Laine, how could Kathy Bates get nominated on a throwaway nomination if Jennifer Lopez is nominated?
I just think it's a shame because like the Academy's just so up its own ass. But I thought there were other nominations that were completely overlooked. Elizabeth Moss for her performance in Us, I think, for supporting actress would have been perfectly appropriate. Lupita Nyong'o was incredible as main actress in Us. I mean, she played two roles.
She should have not only been, and I'm not a huge fan of Us. I thought it was average at best, but her performance is completely separate from that. She should have not only been nominated, she should have won.
Yeah, I mean, she was incredible, and
absolutely,
and Jordan Peele should have been nominated for the screenplay for that. I mean, for him to
Oh, I'm so sorry. I got excited.
You got it. It's all right. It's all right. Yeah. But for him to be turning out this consistently really creative work, I know the movie wasn't as scary as people were expecting, but when you look back on all of the things that it's saying, all of the things that was put into it, as I don't want to call them Easter eggs because that's more of like a comic book movie phrase, but when all of these little like bits and pieces that were put in like from pop culture, all these things that reference something else, there's a lot more to the movie than you think, and the movie does need to be seen more than once truly to be appreciated. So I mean, I think there was a lot of people of color missing from the Oscars. I thought as far as direction goes, I mean, I thought that The Farewell was a snub. You and I saw that together. I thought Awkwafina was very good in it. Yes. I also thought that the direction of that film was good. Certainly worthy enough of a Oscar nomination. And two, I mean, Little Women was nominated for Best Picture, but Greta Gerwig was not. And
she's a woman.
And I'm sorry, if you have two actresses that are nominated for Best Actress in their own right, I think that means the director did a good job.
Yeah, well, I mean, how can a lady be nominated for directing? What?
I need you to sit down or I'm going to hit you.
Well, you look at a lot of those gimme Oscars, and Renee Zellweger, and we'll talk about the winners down the line here, winning for Judy on a movie that nobody saw and is apparently, from what I heard.
So we are having spoilers right now.
Yes. Well, there's spoilers alert. We're not following any real pattern here.
And I mean, it was going to be. This is going to come out in probably a couple of days. So, I mean, you guys will have a chance to look these up.
This is going to be like 6 days after the Oscars. Hopefully you've caught on. But, on a movie that nobody really saw that is extremely forgettable, except for a decent impersonation by Renee Zellweger, this is going to be one of those awards that is just forgotten in the annals of time. And like when you get those listicles every year when the Oscars come out, like forgettable Oscar wins or wins from movies nobody ever saw. Right.
And I mean, I heard it was a very good performance. Sorry, yeah. I got excited too.
And I'm going to say Renee Zellweger, and Judy. And and there's also going to be another listicle of people that were ignored, and Lupita Nyong'o for us is going to be, there you go. There's your, like, not only is that where you can show, you can nominate people of color and hit that little check mark Academy, but it's also deserved.
Sure.
You don't have to be like, oh no, we feel we have to just nominate somebody because we don't want to be yelled at. You double check mark because she absolutely not only deserved to be nominated, she deserved to win. And once again, not to sound like I'm beating a dead drum here, but that did not love that movie, but she was incredible.
Right. And I mean, I'm not saying for any of these that like any of them are like gimme kind of nominees. I mean, it's just a shame because there was just so much good work done this year by people of color. Like I said, like Jennifer Lopez, and
Aquafina.
Aquafina did a great job. I mean, the whole cast of The Farewell was amazing. And, and even that, the ensemble cast of Parasite, I mean, the acting was fantastic in that too, was it not?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And then too, Dolomite Is My Name. I mean, it got absolutely no nominations, and
yeah, Eddie was ignored for that.
Right, that's what you had said. I mean,
movie, like Dolomite Was My Name was a very good film, but it was a bit shallow. Okay, and I'll be the first to admit that there wasn't anything too impactful or too game changing there. So
right,
it was a good performance by Eddie, but I don't know if it really deserved a nomination. And I don't know if Greta Gerwig, like, she is fantastic. I don't know if it is horrible that she was not for Little Women.
But I mean, if two of your actors, two of your actresses in this case, get nominated for acting Oscars, I mean, you did something right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure that the other, director nominees deserved anything more than that. Well, and two, Adam Sandler was also quite overlooked for Uncut Gems at the Oscars. Ooh, look at you.
Where are you yelling at me? Yeah, The Sandman. The Oscars are never going to give it to The Sandman. You know what I mean?
Sandman, get out. Just go home.
You know what I mean?
Like, you are home. Shit.
Well, it's not just him too. Like, there are a lot of comedians who have a lot of crossover appeal. Like Steve Martin or Martin Short or Eddie Murphy could be nominated for Oscars, but you're never going to see Mike Myers.
Well, I mean, I think
Adam Sandler.
But I think too that's
Dana Carvey.
Well, that's a big problem, I think, with the Academy and its voters. They're never really going to like look beyond their own biases, and I think that's a big problem with the Oscars itself.
Oh yeah, this is a game. Like, can we talk about how the Oscars is just an elaborate game of who can suck the most dick?
My goodness, we're crass this evening. Sorry,
and I mean that in a abstract sense, not a literal sense.
Yes, but
I'm
the
not
way
coming
you
after
said
actual dick sucking.
Well, no, but that is certainly clear. But my goodness, you put that crassly.
Well, the what was it? Shakespeare in Love ended up winning Best Picture when everybody said it was Saving Private Ryan's Year to Lose. There's no way this film doesn't win Best Picture. It's the best war movie in 25 years. Or regardless of war movie, it's the best movie of the year, maybe the best movie in the past 5 years. But it loses because somebody schmoozes and dines and entertains all the Academy voters and buys
didn't
them presents.
Weinstein have a lot to do with that?
Well, yeah, and spoiler alert, I was leading to that. I was building up to it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that man's name was Harvey Weinstein.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally ruined it too. You were like doing a thing and I just ruined it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that big monstrosity sex pest bought that Oscar. And that to me was the first time in my life I realized that this award show doesn't truly have any merit.
Well, yeah, I mean, that blew my mind because I didn't realize with the Oscars and stuff, I didn't realize how much of a campaign it was until I was older, and that you go around and you show up at these lunches. And growing up, like, I heard the phrase "for your consideration," but I never knew what it meant until I was, I mean, not an adult. I was like 19. You're not an adult at 19. You're not a person yet. But, I was older, certainly maybe 19 or 20 when I finally realized what that all meant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Denzel, like, bragged about it at one of his award show wins, that, like, I think it was when he was winning awards for Fences.
Oh, really?
And he was talking about when he won the Oscar for Training Day and how, like, he did this and he did that and he schmoozed this and schmoozed that and took this guy out for a steak dinner, and then he's like, and then I won the award. And I'm like, dude, shut up. You're like you're explaining your bank robbery to the cops.
So, like, just a quick sidebar. I know, like, Denzel historically, like, our mom's generation is, like, real excited about him physically. There's just something that seems so yucky about him personally to me. Like, he just seems like a jerk.
King Kong ain't got nothing on me.
Oh, please never do that again.
No? Okay.
And maybe never, ever do that again. Oh, my God. All right, well, that went from me just not liking a person of the world and became something borderline racist. Thank you, John.
No.
Moving on.
I was doing an impression. It's
You were doing an impression, but you can't
Was
do
it Michael Scott doing Chris Rock on The Office?
Sure was. And anytime we're doing something like Michael Scott, we're probably doing something wrong.
Hold for editing.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian probably needs to cut that out.
Hold for editing.
Brian needs to cut that out.
Hold for editing.
Okay. Got it.
Keep talking.
Don't do it.
Hold for editing. Do you not understand how that works? And go. All right. Anywho, but yeah, so, but a lot of films that got nominated. Now, I'm not exactly the be all end all of taste, but I will say a lot of the movies that did get nominated this year were on my top 10 list. Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, most of them.
You enjoyed most of these films. I mean,
a few of them fell out. Little Women, I think Joker did fall out of my top 10, but like, they're all in my top 15, so I can't really complain about what was nominated this year. There's no English Patient in this group of films. So,
did you not like The English Patient, love?
I did not care for it. I did not. I also didn't care for Out of Africa or Dances with Wolves.
Look at you.
And all those delightful movies.
Fun fact: John can name all of the Best Picture winners. His Twitter is the Unreal J Wolves. Feel free to tweet him and ask him.
I think it was in the Unwound J Wolves. I was like, I like it.
Sorry,
yeah,
tripping on my words.
So the Oscars is a big game on what gets nominated and then what wins. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, you and I enjoy watching the show.
I say every year, like, I get it why Brian doesn't like it.
Well, to me, it's a lot like the Super Bowl when my team's not in it. Like, I mean, there are a lot of teams I don't like, so I don't want them to win, like the Patriots or Ravens, and then I just ostracize our New England and Baltimore fans. But like for this year, I watched the Super Bowl for the spectacle of it because I didn't care if it was San Francisco or Kansas City.
Oh my God.
And I watched for the game. Like, I just hoped that it was extremely competitive. I watched for the commercials. I watched for the pageantry. I watched for the halftime show. I watched for everything. And the Oscars are another instances of that. Like, let's see who wins, and like, let's see what the acceptance speeches are. Let's see what the performances are like. Let's see like what happens on live television.
Yeah,
there's a pageantry to it.
And I can't begin to tell you how much I enjoy watching the Super Bowl with you when the Steelers are not in it, because you are actually relaxed. You are not having sweaty sharts. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
It is so good. I can't even tell you.
And so I watch the Oscars for, for the
It is just
pageantry of it.
fun. Like, it really is. Like, it's a nice spectacle. I mean, for me too, like,
It doesn't mean anything.
As someone who's loved fashion my entire life, I also just love the gowns. And I know that, in this day and age, it can be very problematic. It can be, a real issue of extravagance and too much opulence and certainly all of that. But, as someone who does really appreciate the artistic form of fashion and clothes making, that's a big draw for me as well.
Yeah, Citizen Kane and Shawshank Redemption didn't win Best Picture. That tells you everything you need to know. So,
Amen.
let's get on to the broadcast. So
there's no host this year again, right?
Again, yeah, and it's really a shame that I think they're afraid that everybody who's ever had Twitter can't host the show.
Listen, does the Oscars need a host? I don't really think it does.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. This is the lowest ratings ever in the history of the show. And people are saying this is actually a very good broadcast. Like, if you look at it from a critical standpoint, it actually was a pretty good show. Lowest ratings ever. So I would say, arguably, yeah, they do need a host.
But I think every year is the lowest. I think it's just becoming less popular because even though we just said all the reasons why we like it, it's kind of an outdated tradition and people just check their phones to see who won. No one really watches it. A lot of our generation doesn't have cable and it's really dependent on having cable because you have to watch it live.
It's interesting because two of the early presenters who came on and did basically a 10-minute bit like they were the hosts of the show was Steve Martin and Chris Rock.
Yeah, it's true.
They should have just made those two the hosts. And they were like great together because like Steve is like the out of touch like old white guy and Chris is the slightly hip but aging like black guy, and they had like great chemistry together.
Their chemistry was top notch.
It reminded me of Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. So like, why didn't they make those two the hosts? I don't know. Probably because they figured if they went deep enough into, their Twitter, they would have been like, oh, there you go.
I can't imagine what could possibly be in Steve Martin's Twitter, but okay.
Well, no, but I mean, look at it this way. Like, they come after everything now. Like, he was in The Jerk, right? And in that movie, Steve drops the N-bomb.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's in the context of a joke, but notwithstanding, they would have been like, oh, you're going to let somebody who in the 1970s thought it was free to like say the N-word, blah, 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 and then. And,
we know more than we did. We know better now than we did then. But yeah, you're right, I guess. It's just a shame because I don't know why that's suddenly the litmus test. Because there are people that do horrible things all the time and they're allowed to keep their jobs. Yeah.
Well, you look at the nominees and the winners.
Yeah, right.
Or when Ben Affleck's like little sex pest brother won Best
Casey
Actor.
Affleck. Yeah.
So he can still win Best Actor, but they wouldn't let him host. Interesting, right?
But remember when Brie Larson wouldn't clap for him? God, that was amazing.
That was amazing.
I loved it.
Although he would have been Casey Affleck would be like the worst host ever. So yeah, so the Oscars, I guess.
Oh yeah, he would be boring as shit.
Oh look, there's Sean Penn.
Speaking of that though, I liked the part of the night where Joaquin Phoenix apologized for being like the worst.
He's like, I know I suck.
Yeah, well,
I know I'm hard to deal with.
He's like, I'm trying to be better. Like, I don't know. I felt like that was actually a nice moment. Well, we'll talk more about that later.
The people have to stop suckling cows.
Okay, that's very, very confusing, John. We need to talk about him later. So everybody, if you are very baffled by that, we'll get back to it.
Yeah, so Janelle Monáe.
Yep, Janelle Monáe needs number one, she needs to come out with a new album because I have listened to Dirty Computer more than any other album the past 2 years in a row.
Stop fucking up, Janelle. Get a new album out.
Because I've listened to... it was my top listened to album in 2019 and 2018. Thank you, Spotify, for letting me know. But honestly, and I thought I was really diverse last year. Nope, just Dirty Computer. And like everything I listened to in high school. Perfect.
Yep. But she came out doing like a Mr. Rogers thing. She was like a little bit off.
At first, but
Then she got her
it's
stride.
the Oscars. I mean, I think once it went to the part where, she was like singing and rapping about the misfits of life and everybody was coming out in the costumes of the films of the year. Like that was it,
And there was a big thing where she brought up in her song, Oscar So White. So.
Yep.
It was almost like blinking. Blink is a strange thing to say about hearing.
Oh yeah,
but clean your ear out and you'll miss it. Mentioned there, and then we had the couple first presenters, and we actually got one of our first awards. And but before we get into the winners and losers, I'll talk about a couple of the high notes. I thought that James Corden and Rebel Wilson, their cat thing was hilarious.
Oh, that was really funny.
And being able to laugh at themselves and come out in cat outfits.
That's not easy. And two, I thought it was really cool because one of the things that really I thought was amazing, Rebel Wilson looked absolutely gorgeous. I thought she was in that beautiful Jason Wu number. She was all glammed up. And then, for her to put that goofy cat makeup on in the middle of the night, and then probably I didn't see her afterwards, but then to get all glammed back up, like, I don't know. I go out to like the store and I can't wait to take like the mascara off and the bra off and like for her to do all of that. That's not easy. Like good for her, man.
But yeah, it's I loved her on the red carpet because she's like, I was in Jojo Rabbit. I played a Nazi.
Oh my God, she was
like
hilarious in
most
that.
normal thing in the world to say. I played a Nazi. Without a hint of irony.
Yeah, and she was actually very funny in that too. In Jojo Rabbit, I really liked that movie.
But there was performances for the nominated songs, but there was also a performance by M and fucking M.
Oh my God, that was so random. And I guess because he was not able to accept his award back in the day, that's the only thing I can think of. They were having some audio problems or something. I mean, I know there was lots of swears that they had to like dub out, but I don't think that quite matched up. I mean, they probably can't take a lot of chances with some of those performances, but I think that had to be really top secret, John. Like I didn't hear a whisper of that.
I think I read somewhere that they weren't allowed to like properly advertise it. Like there was some reasons they couldn't. So like a lot of people were baffled by him. And like Billie Eilish, is that what the kids are calling her?
Billie Eilish. She had no idea who he was, right?
Well, yeah. Well, she was.
Hey, we got to stop. If we're pretending that we said this right after the show, we would have no way to know that. That report didn't come out until after.
We're not.
Oh, sorry, Brian. Disregard. Sorry.
So Billie Eilish, how do you?
Eilish, I think. Billie Eilish, I think.
Yeah, she was like baffled by his appearance and did not hide it. But
listen, how fucking old is she?
Like 10.
No, I think she's 17 now, right?
Probably. I don't know. I am not hip.
I mean, I would say she's probably younger than his first album. I don't know. Just
maybe
those words leaving my mouth make me want to vomit.
But yeah, she did the In Memoriam. Speaking of her,
oh yeah,
there were a lot of.
What song did she sing? I forget already.
I can't remember, but there were a lot of people left off, including Luke Perry.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was not on the list.
Talk about Oscar snubs if you don't make it into the In Memoriam. What the hell? I wonder why that happened.
Sid Haig wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
He passed away. Like, I don't know, like, how, like, certain people don't make the cut or whatever, but yeah. It's a strange but, like, extremely, like, thoughtful thing to do. But, yeah, some people get left off every year, and there's always the next day where it's so-and-so wasn't praised, so-and-so was ignored, so-and-so was underplayed,
Right.
But Luke Perry, that's a big one to miss.
That is weird. I wonder why that happened. I didn't read anything about that. She sang Yesterday. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it was fine. She did a fine job, I thought.
And I mean, and not to, like, organize it by, like, most important person who died, even though they do. Luke Perry was one of the biggest people on our episode of like our first, part one of our 2019 recap. Like he was like one of the biggest names we mentioned because he was one of the biggest names of people who passed away.
Well, too, I mean, like, I know that this doesn't really count for much in Hollywood, and this is me being a total cynical asshole, but he was really a really good man from what I understand. He did a lot of, like, donating
then he should have been brought up even more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think more importantly than anything, I think he was a really good person, and he should have been, at the forefront even more than he was. But, yeah, I wonder why he was. That's so strange.
But, is there anything we're missing from the broadcast? Anything shocking or amazing?
Well, I thought there were some really great moments here and there in the broadcast. I really enjoyed Idina Menzel's performance of the Frozen song that was nominated. Into the Unknown was nominated, and I thought that the international singers that came out to sing part of the song with her,
what a way to show diversity.
I thought that was a really nice moment.
So much diversity. If there's only some better way to show it.
I appreciate, me thinking of a nice moment that I liked and you shitting on it. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
But I thought that was great. Chrissy Metz from This Is Us. She sang one of the songs. She was amazing.
I wasn't trying to shit on you. I was trying to shit on them.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's tough. Oh, no. We didn't talk about Cynthia Erivo when she sang the song from Harriet. Remember she had that like gold like cowl behind her. My God, what stage presence. She I think looked the most comfortable of anyone on stage all night. She was amazing. I couldn't look away. She was incredible. She reminded me of when I went to see Florence and the Machine in concert a few years ago, where just like it was a masterclass in stage presence. Like I could not take my eyes away from Florence, and that reminded me of that. She,
the Machine's feelings are hurt.
I'm sorry, but Cynthia Erivo, I mean, she was magnetic. She just was so comfortable, so controlled, and just possessed in her own power. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, it was a great broadcast. Amazingly so low rated.
People don't have cable anymore, brah.
And I guess they were counting on Joker and to a lesser extent Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to carry the ratings, because the reason that everybody freaked out was over Dark Knight and WALL-E because they didn't get nominated when it was still 5, and that's why they increased it to 10 so they could get more notoriety to the nominees, like movies that were pretty good that people like appreciated more. Like last year they nominated Black Panther, and the only ones I can look at this year are Joker and maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that were nominated, so they can say like, look, here are movies that you saw, watch the show, and I guess it didn't work.
I see. Well, too, I mean, like, why have up to 10 nominations and only do 9? That's so dumb.
Because what they do is they base it on the number one votes by everybody that votes in the Academy, and it's based on mathematical statistics.
Well, it's still stupid.
So whether that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5, it's based on how many people vote for number one based on the numerical ordering.
It just seems strange that it just is like just short at 9. I don't know. That's just strange.
So like if Us was a nominee, and it just missed out on enough votes, it's not going to be the 10th film or whatever.
Interesting.
Although
Interesting.
Us
All right.
Never up for it.
Still hate it.
Hated it. But yeah, let's talk about a couple of these winners here.
Well, let's talk about something much more important first.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're going to be madder in a second. Well, dear listeners, as you may know, John and I, every year, we always, play a game. We print our ballots. We actually spend paper and ink on this, guys. We print out ballots and we guess before the show starts. We write down all of our picks and we bet, on who's going to get the most picks right. And fear not, everybody, I won again this year. I got more right than John, and that's really all that
Fear
matters.
Fear not.
It's really all that
Yeah,
matters.
everybody was really fucking worried.
I'm sure they were. Listen, I'm sure everybody was worried, and I am happy to reassure all of you.
You won by 2.
Whatever, I still won.
And Chris Lemke, if you do listen to this, you told me to change my thing from the unknown to the Rocket Man song, and I thought because I'd already put it down on paper that I shouldn't change it. You were right, I should have, but I still would have lost my one anyway. So,
and Chris, I didn't even hear this conversation, and I got it right.
But yeah, let's talk about the winners here. Now, are we good now, Laine? Now that you pointed out that you won,
I needed everyone to know the most amazing part. Every time we talk about Ready, Set, Geek, again, Chris Lemke, you remind me that you're a two-time champion.
But just looking at the screenplays here, I'm just looking at the weird structure that this sheet has. So I'm starting kind of at the bottom of the sheet on the right-hand side. Parasite won screenplay, where I thought, oh, well, it's going to win Best Foreign Film as well, and then its night is over. Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, so much more to come. That was really great. I was really excited about that, especially in a year where there was a real lack of diversity.
Yeah, and yeah, it is an amazing screenplay. It was my selection to win, and I don't always put my favorites for the winners. I put what I think the Academy is going to do. This is one of those few times I was able to put both at the same time.
Yeah.
And the same thing for adapted screenplay, like Jojo Rabbit. Taika Waititi is an Academy Award winner. So,
I mean, you keep shitting on him for Ragnarok, and that's fine.
No. I'm not shitting on him. I know it sounds like I am right there, but my point is that he's a comedy writer, and you don't.
But you always bitch that comedy isn't celebrated at the Oscars.
Yeah, you're missing the point completely. Is that the Oscars never appreciate comedy in any way, shape, or form. So for them to acknowledge it, not only for a comic film, no matter how sweet it was, to win, but also from a comedy writer is shocking.
I see.
So, so good for you, Taika Waititi. I did not like Ragnarok that much, but you know what? I think you're a pretty cool dude. I think you're very funny. And I thought his acceptance speech was pretty great. Like, he was very flippant.
Yeah, well, how flippant was he on the red carpet? And we were watching, what did you put on when we watched the red carpet? Was that ABC?
Yes.
When he was, I don't know who the interviewer was, but he was so flippant because it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and he was like joking about how it wasn't nominated for 7 and how he was like a disappointment, and he was like mad at himself and stuff, obviously being like completely ironic. The interviewer had no idea what to do with him. It was hilarious.
But visual effects, what did this go to 1917?
Visual, yep. Mm-hmm. You and I both got it wrong because I thought maybe The Irishman would get it, and you went for Avengers.
Yeah, well, I thought this was going to be the one thing they were going to throw a bone to Avengers on, to Marvel on, hey, congratulations, you made 300 movies in 9 years.
Right.
Here's your Oscar, and they didn't even give it to that.
Yeah.
So, as speaking of, I swear we're not just name dropping him, but Chris Lemke on Ready, Set, Geek had mentioned, that makes Suicide Squad 1 all of Marvel nothing.
It's true. Suicide Squad has more Oscars than Marvel.
But I got sound mixing and sound editing backwards, as I always do.
And I only got it right because I picked the same movie for both categories.
It was Ford versus Ferrari for both of them, wasn't it?
No. It was it was sound editing. That went to Ford.
Oh, 1917 and Ford versus Ferrari, right?
Sound editing was Ford versus Ferrari, and sound mixing was 1917.
Yeah, sorry.
I wanted it to be clear since our listeners aren't looking at the papers with us.
I think it should have gone the other way around because, sound mixing is the people that create the sound effects, and then sound editors are the ones that put them all together and make sure you can hear the separation of all the different sounds that are going on in the moment.
Radio.
I thought that they were reversed, but whatever.
Fair enough. And then so this is where you and I sometimes have an easy time, sometimes have a hard time with the shorts. I find that we do best when we watch none of them. I got them both right, live action short, and you did too, right? You did well with the shorts this year. So live action short film, The Neighbor's Window, And then animated short film Hair Love. A Pittsburgher worked on that, I think. I read that. So there's a Pittsburgh connection there. I did not look deeper to see the connection, though.
Yeah.
And then production design. This was one of those things where I was like pissy because I wanted it to be Jojo Rabbit, but I ended up correctly guessing Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It had to go to the movie because, honestly, half of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is spent admiring the production design.
You're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just really like the production design of Jojo Rabbit.
Like, there are scenes where people are driving around and all we do is get shots of the buildings, and it's like, look at this building, look at this like street, look at this building. Literally, the film is a pornographic like thank you to the production design. But documentary feature, I thought for sure. For Sama had that in the bag.
Oh, you were so angry. I
was
correctly
so
guessed
angry.
American Factory.
Yeah.
You were so mad at me.
Which, does that mean Barack Obama has an Oscar?
No.
Because it was his production team.
For American Factory?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was part of his production company that he founded. I don't know if that means he has an
I
Oscar.
don't know.
But hey, Obama, you just have your check mark 1 and your EGOT.
I miss Obama so much.
Maybe PGOT. Ooh, a new one. President.
To be president and get an EGOT?
Yeah.
That seems extremely difficult to do.
Oh, it's my PGOT.
Well, Obama, I miss you. And
We
your
all
wonderful
missed.
wife.
We all miss him.
Documentary short subject. I
picked this on the title alone.
I thought In the Absence was going to win because Vietnamese film has never won. But John correctly guessed Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone If You're a Girl, which, I'm fine with that. Film editing went to Ford versus Ferrari,
Which it very much deserves. It was.
we both correctly guessed.
Yeah, it was very good editing.
Like John mentioned, international feature film was Parasite.
If there was any question, like, it's the only foreign film that's nominated for Best Picture. It's like when Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture. I wonder what's going to win Best Animated.
Right. It's true. It's true. And then we deviated here on makeup and hairstyling. Now, John, you thought Judy was going to win, and I correctly guessed Bombshell.
Yeah, because I thought the Oscars were going to give it to Judy because it's a movie about Hollywood and glamorous old-fashioned Hollywood. And I thought that they were just going to do it. I didn't think it should be Judy, but I thought they were going to do it. And so my cynicism bit me in the ass.
It's all right. Original score went to Joker. I think the score was the only thing I liked about that movie. And it was wonderful to see
Really?
the first.
The only thing?
That movie sucked.
God damn. It was like... It didn't make my top 10, but god damn, girl.
Whatever. I loved seeing a woman win this award for the very first time. I can't remember her name, but I do remember she's Icelandic, and I very much loved her speech. I thought that was really nice to see. Original song we kind of talked about already. John, which one did you think was going to win?
I thought it was going to be Into the Unknown.
See, that's what I wanted you to do. And then...
Into the Unknown. That's my impression of Adele Dazeem.
Oh, perfect. And it ended up being I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man. It was cool seeing Elton and Bernie win that together. That was a nice moment, I thought.
Yeah.
We're going to...
But yeah, animated feature film. This was an upset that pissed me off. It seems like it pissed off a lot of other people on social media.
Oh,
Toy
yeah.
Story 4.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm sorry. I saw all of the movies in this category, and I mean, I Lost My Body was, a little bit more conceptual. I could see it not winning,
Too
even
artsy.
though
The
it was,
artsy animated films
right.
never win.
I mean, I sobbed my way through How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, but I think I was just having a bad week. I apparently love those movies. I watched like all 3 of them, and I'm a big fan now for some reason, even though I never really watched them like when they came out. Missing Link was okay. I saw that too. It was pretty good, but I was not feeling it from Toy Story 4. I did not think it needed to be told as a story. I didn't think it had any of the magic of the first 3, and I thought the first 3 was basically the third was basically perfect, and we did not need a 4th. But
I'm not
Klaus-
as harsh on Toy Story 4 as you are, apparently.
Dude,
but-
Klaus was so good. I know you didn't see it, but it was so beautifully animated. It was a wonderfully charming story. J.K. Simmons is so good in it. It was
J.K. Simmons is in it.
It was a delight. A really good cast. Rashida Jones was also in it. Joan Cusack, who I love. I mean, it's just like amazing. It's just a really nice film. I was really disappointed it didn't win. And I really thought that if anything from Netflix was going to get that like best of category kind of award, I really thought it was going to be this one, because it seemed like, it was a big shock at the time that Frozen 2 didn't get nominated, and it felt like Klaus kind of took that spot, right? So if Klaus was going to bump out Frozen 2, I really thought it was going to bring it home. I was so disappointed that Toy Story 4 won, just because I didn't think it was as good of a movie.
Well, you thought like, okay, Frozen 2 doesn't get nominated, like, oh, maybe they're not just like giving into the Disney Empire dictatorship,
Which I'm fine with.
Which is, great. Oh, and then Toy Story 4 wins. So, Nope, guess not, folks. I guess Pixar and Disney, they still win.
Yep.
But yeah, costume design went to Little Women. I don't.
No surprise there that the Oscar or the Academy loves a period piece. It's always going to go to a period piece.
Speaking of period piece, Little Women. Cinematography.
That was rude.
You can't set that up and expect you not to hit the spare. Cinematography, 1917. If you've done any research on this movie, it is a no-brainer that this wins. It was unbelievable. Now I can understand how some people might say that it was perfect. It was purposely a gimmick to win best cinematography, and I can't necessarily argue with that, where they went out of their way to show off what they can do with cameras, and they did it, but they did it well. So kudos to them. It wasn't just like, look how many times we can flip the camera 360. Woo, camera tricks.
But I mean, cinematography is kind of camera tricks, though, so I guess that tracks.
But let's talk about the actors real quick before we get to director and film. With actress in supporting role, Laura Dern.
This wasn't a surprise to me. She's been winning a lot of lifetime achievement awards and like honorary, just picking up a lot of different awards of, what's been going on with her lately. So, I mean, this wasn't a big surprise.
She won in a weak year.
I mean, and sometimes, this award is more about like the career than it is about the performance. Now, I mean, she was good in Marriage Story, I think.
Yeah. But this was a weak year. I mean, Kathy Bates or Richard Jewell, I mean, come on. Scarlett Johansson was really nominated for Best Actress, really not for Best Supporting Actress. Like, she was never going to take that home. Florence Pugh for Little Women maybe could have given her a thing, but they're also not going to give her a run, but Margot Robbie was not going to win for Bombshell. She shouldn't have even been nominated for
Bombshell.
Actress
in a supporting role. I mean, Jennifer Lopez should have been fucking nominated. I'm sorry.
Kick Margot Robbie out and give it to Jennifer Lopez. But yeah, so Laura Dern, I'm not taking anything away from you, but it was a weak field.
I suppose. I mean, but Laura Dern is lovely, I'd like to say, and I was glad to see her win, and and I thought that her her dedication to her parents at the end of her speech, I thought that was quite lovely.
But actor in a supporting role went to Brad Pitt.
And how crazy that was his first acting one. Did you ever look up what his other one was?
I did not.
This is his second Oscar.
He must have produced something.
I'm looking.
That one. Yeah, so look that up. He was cool as a cucumber during his acceptance speech. Classic Brad. He's not all right. Like, he's not McConaughey, like levels of cool. But, he was that Brad Pitt level of like, hey, whatever, man, in the best way possible during his acceptance speech. And he He was very nice to this gargoyle that was in the audience. The stone sculpture. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was Quentin Tarantino. I'm sorry.
Wow, look at you.
But yeah, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but I can't believe that Brad Pitt has an Oscar. But that's a thing now.
He was pretty good in that, I guess. Okay, he won Best Picture in 2014 for being one of the producers in 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, that's right. Because remember, we were watching that movie, we were like, fucking Brad Pitt's in this?
Yeah, and then we were like, he was a producer. Yeah. It all makes sense now.
And I don't mean to like give lead actor final dibs over lead actress, but I'm going to mention lead actress first, just because there's a lot to talk about with actor
Fair
in
enough.
a leading role. And Renee Zellweger and Forgettable Judy and Forgettable Oscar and Forgettable everything. It's going to be more forgettable than her Cold Mountain win.
And she won for Cold Mountain?
Yeah, back in like 2004. I don't know. Who gives a fuck?
Wow, you are so exceptionally hateful.
Yeah, in a movie that nobody saw, that nobody cares about, that is a B- movie. And she did a great impression of Judy Garland, and now she's won another Oscar, but this time for lead actress. So,
well, John, I mean, don't hold back. Tell us how you actually feel, you know?
It's going to be one of those things where people are going to gather in 5 years for a party and be like, yeah, 2020, like, who won Best Actress? I don't know. I can't remember. Somebody looks it up. Renee Zellweger. For what? Judy. Oh, yeah, that's right. And that's gonna be her historical claim to fame.
You are so hateful, man.
And then crazy person Joaquin Phoenix wins Best Actor for Joker. Not a surprise there. That, before we get into the whole Joaquin Phoenix thing, that is 2 Oscar wins for the Joker.
It is. Heath Ledger won his posthumously.
Yeah.
But
Posthumously?
Oh, posthumously. Yeah, I did say that wrong.
Posthumously.
My bad.
And I guess Joaquin Phoenix didn't get too into the role, and he was able to come back. But yeah,
that's not the most attractive voice you've ever made.
But yeah, he wins the Oscar for playing the Joker, and just gives this. Albeit he makes some good points, but this kind of unhinged, uncomfortable, weird speech.
I mean, it was very strange. It was hard to follow. I mean, I did get some of the points. One of the things I did like that he had said is he did kind of acknowledge that he'd been, like a not good person, and he was like trying to work on it. Yeah. And I mean, and I hope he was referring to this film, because I read that there were days that he just like walked off set when he wasn't feeling it. Who the hell, other than actors, are allowed to just walk out of their job when they're not feeling it?
Method actors,
This is so gross. And then I read too, and there's a scene where he kicks a dumpster, and apparently he kicked it so hard in real life that he dislocated his knee. Buddy, you could have just pretended that you hurt your knee. It's okay.
Stanislavski, you know what I mean? It's that
people are so exhausting.
It's that method acting.
There's nothing more exhausting than a method actor. God, they're exhausting. Oh, no.
But yeah, he's like, don't milk cows, you bastards.
I have to say, I didn't follow much of it.
And there's nothing more than worse than rich people worshiping golden icons.
I mean, I agree. What? Let's eat the rich. It's totally fine.
But he's a rich guy holding a golden statue.
Right. I mean, but I'm allowed to say eat the rich. I'm not fucking rich.
And it would have gone over a lot better if he was a lot more well spoken. He was kind of
very
and
strange
and laughing.
He almost seemed altered, kind of. He definitely didn't seem
well, it's probably
undrunk.
Was. Yeah.
He did not seem undrunk. He did not seem unhigh.
His family were in a religious cult. So,
how many times are you going to say that? You told me that so many times the night of. I don't understand.
Directing went to 1917, and this is where I thought, okay, now it's over. Because how many times you know, a lot of times it's if you win Best Director, oh, that's a key. There's a given. It's going to be Best Picture. But sometimes
it rarely does split, but it does happen.
But yeah, sometimes they'll do the split if it's like almost a 50-50 kind of thing, or if the directing job was great, but they want to give it to their Academy movie.
Of course.
You know, and I thought, okay, they're going to give it to Parasite here, and then they're going to give it to 1917 for Best Picture.
Right. So just to be clear, you know, they handed out the directing award before they handed out Best Picture. So John thought that it was going to go for Best Directing. Like, you thought it was going to like be split.
Yeah, when Parasite won it, I'm like, okay, well, that's it.
And then 1917, you thought was going to win Best Picture.
What's this, the 92 Oscars? Or 92nd, not 92nd annual Oscars?
Yeah, this is the 92nd. It's on the sheet.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so I thought, 1917 has this in the bag, unless, what a huge, shocking surprise, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wins it. Oh, could you imagine that? No. Parasite wins Best Picture, the first foreign film ever to win Best Picture.
I'm here for it. I am so happy.
It's fucking awesome.
I really hope it opens a lot of doors up. I hope it makes things like so much better. I just hope that this improves things for cinema, because there are so many amazing stories that need to be told, and not everybody gets to tell them to a wider audience. And I think that that's a shame, because anytime I hear someone else's story, I'm a better person for it.
Do you want to hear the most cinema twat bag comment of the decade?
Bring it.
There is always a better foreign film than any American movie made every year.
Ooh, I like it.
So I think it almost opens a bad precedent that, like, if they really did nominate great foreign movies, that an American movie would never win Best Picture ever again.
Wow. Hot take.
But yeah, God bless Parasite for winning. That is awesome. And
I mean, this
couldn't
is just
be happier. Especially since you didn't have it winning either, so it wasn't another thing you could take from me.
It's true.
We both had 1917.
We both did. We both were incorrect on that, and honestly, I was super happy to be wrong. I dare say I would have even been happy to be wrong if it meant I lost to you in the bet.
Oh.
That's how much it meant to me.
But I would be curious to know how many Oscars like one individual has. Like, obviously Meryl has 3 for acting, Jack Nicholson has 3 for acting. Mm-hmm. But and I'm not going to butcher his name, but the director of Parasite, like, he walked home at the Oscars with 4
in one night.
4 in one night.
That's incredible. I mean, I think that's got to be close to a record, especially to do it all in one night.
I think Oliver Stone might have a few more, maybe 5.
Did he win them all at once, though?
No.
I was going to say, that's got to be a record for most won in one night.
Yeah, because I think Oliver Stone won for, like, writing for Born on the 4th of July, writing for Platoon, directing for Platoon. You know, there's a couple of different things, but producing, etc. But yeah, he might have more, and there might be like people who I'm just completely missing, like in costume or sound or something. But anyways, but yeah, 4 in one night, he's got to be up there in some of the top winners of all time. So,
but it was an exciting thing to see. I mean, it made me really happy to witness, and the dog just shook himself. Sorry, everyone.
But yeah, it was a great broadcast, and that was a huge surprise when Parasite kind of won it all. And
yeah, I was really happy to see it.
I've never been more happy to be wrong in my life.
Yeah, me too. And it was an enjoyable show. You know, I was very upset about the lack of diversity, and especially like the overly masculine deal, you know, with the whole Oscars thing this year. But you know, seeing Parasite do so well, that did help me with it a lot. You know.
Yeah. See?
All right. Well, any final thoughts on the Oscars, sir?
I think that you guys should watch a video on the 1989 Oscars and the opening number on that and the controversy on that.
Oh, and where might we find such an interesting and insightful video?
I think on the YouTube channel, the Unreal J Wolves.
Or the J-Dubs Video Nasties?
Or I'm sorry, I just gave my Twitter handle.
What would you do without your producer?
Yeah, right. Yeah, J-Dubs Video Nasties on YouTube. And for your In Consideration video, where I talk with Eileen Bowman about her involvement in the most notorious opening number in the history of the Oscars.
Excellent. Well, I think you should definitely tweet that video out. And if everybody wanted to find that on Twitter, on your Twitter, where could they find you on Twitter?
J-Dubs Video. No, I'm kidding. The Unreal J Wolves.
The Unreal J Wolves. You can find me at LA_Croft. And
you can find Brian at Skidmark Sexy Ass 69420.
What? Why are you so rude?
Cool Cat fan. Siskel Ebert forever. Forever. It's like, wow, how can I even tweet at this guy? It's so many different things.
Oh my God.
In the app.
But yeah, and then, he also runs the Psycho Show page, and you can
find him at Brian Coddington.
Yeah, and at Brian Coddington for Brian. He runs the Psycho Show page at Psycho Show. If you guys have a movie that you'd like us to review, or if you have any questions for us, you can...
Or you want to talk to me about the Lighthouse.
Yeah, good God, someone talk to John about the fucking Lighthouse. Please, hit us up, and make sure to catch our new episode next time.
And the Oscar goes to...
These nuts. Epicast.